So let's take a look at break even a little bit further now. We're going to think about this equation that sets up the condition of total revenue being equal to total cost. And that equation will be price times quantity of the good being manufactured and sold. Remember, that's total revenue, being equal to total fixed cost plus average variable cost times the quantity, which is the same as total fixed cost plus total variable cost. So remember that in our example, we had total fixed costs of $775, average variable cost of $13.05 each, and we had the price of the shoes that we're selling at $20. So that led then to a price times quantity, or 20 times Q. We're looking for the quantity. We don't have that yet. So 20 times Q being equal to $775 for total fixed cost, plus $13.05 times the quantity for total variable cost. We can rearrange this a little bit, such that we could say that 20 minus 1305, so price minus our average variable cost times the quantity is equal to the total fixed cost of $775. And that equates to $6.95 times Q equals $775, or Q equals $775 divided by $6.95, which is going to equal then 111.51. Well, we have two things to consider here. First of all, this is a fractional unit, and perhaps in our production environment, we can't think about making a fractional unit. I'm not sure how we think about 0.51 pairs of shoes. 0.5 pair of shoes might just be the right or the left, but 0.51, I get kind of confused. I mean, even at 0.5, I'm not sure what good one shoe is. So we might think about fractional versus whole units, in which case we would think about this as taking it to 112, which might take us to a point where total revenue is a little bit greater than total cost, but only a tiny bit. So just kind of keep that in mind as we do some of the examples on this. There's something else we might want to think about here. If you look at the way that this is set up, this one sets up to price minus average variable cost times the quantity equals total fixed cost. So we might think of this equation in a simplified way as being quantity is total fixed costs divided by price minus the average variable cost. Now, sometimes we know the average variable cost, such as we knew it when we put this together, because we knew how much per shoe or how much per pair of shoes we had for labor and for the different inputs that we had. Sometimes we know that, sometimes we don't. But when we do know that, you have this very simplified quantity can be equal to total fixed cost divided by price minus average variable cost. Let's go ahead and take a look at this a little bit further so we can think about what happens with this fractional unit element that I referred to. If we restricted ourselves to 111 units, if we decided, well, let's only manufacture and sell 111 units, then that's going to bring us to the point where we actually have a $3.55 loss. We don't want a loss. In business, it's difficult enough to make money. It's easy enough to lose money. We don't have to go about designing losing money. If we go to a quantity of 112, remember that our fractional unit was 111.51. If we do 112 units, then we're going to end up with a slight profit. If you have to default to either a profit or a loss in business, and you can't achieve this perfect break even, then you absolutely default of profit.